After watching this film, I'm not so sure I want to see what James Gunn has got in store. That is right, everyone. We got to see The Flash a whole week prior to its international release, and we are here to tell you all about it. Now, I'm going to do 3 things in this video. Firstly, full disclaimer, no spoilers. There are not going to be any spoilers in this film. If you've seen the trailer, nothing further is going to be discussed other than some basic plot outlines, but I promise no cameos, no major spoilers, nothing like that. You will be safe throughout this video. Secondly, I know there's a lot of controversy around this film. I am just talking about it for its entertainment value. You need to decide whether or not this is a film you want to go see regarding all of the controversy around Ezra Miller. That is up to you. And thirdly, I'm not going to be discussing anything about pacing or the runtime because I actually was lucky enough to see a director's cut of the film. So I don't know what's going to be in that final theatrical release. And I'm going to give the 2 hours, 20 minutes runtime a bit of leeway and a bit of respect. So anyways, guys, let's dive into our thoughts on this film. When we all heard that James Gunn was going to be taking over the DC universe, I think there was a bit of a sigh of relief and everyone was kind of like, okay, we're going to be okay. Let's just get these films out of the way and get them done. And that was my attitude going into this. I was like, okay, you know, it's going to be rebooted anyway. What's the point? And I'm glad I went to see this movie. And my biggest concern going into this film was, is Barry Allen, that version of The Flash, enough of a character? Is there enough substance there to bring us through an entire feature film? Can he carry the audience through? And at the end of the day, the answer is kind of yes and no. I think that The Flash by himself, as you know, in terms of the versions we've seen in the past, is definitely not that character. He's borderline obnoxious. He's very mouthy. He's kind of the comic relief of the Justice League, and that is what he is struggling with at the start of this film. He's not sure about his place in the Justice League. He's not sure about his place in society. He's struggling with his grief and his trauma, and he's not sure if he should allow those things to shape him or if those are things he needs to try and correct. And when he goes back in time and meets a younger version of himself, he has this moment where he sort of goes, well, is this how people see me? I don't quite like this version of myself, you know, and a lot of the themes around this film are about acceptance, about growing, about learning to live with our scars and how our scars actually shape us. And ultimately, it is that relationship between the young and the old Barry that carries this film. That is where the most compelling aspects of this film lie. I think something else that helps to push this movie through is that even though it is centered around the Flash, they introduce new characters at really, really great and key moments. Nobody feels underused. Nobody feels like they shouldn't be there. There's no cameo for the sake of cameos. Marvel. Ben Affleck's Batman is great in this. I think this is the most comfortable I've seen him in the role. It makes me want to see more of Batfleck. I was quite circumspect and not really too big on Ben Affleck's Batman starting off. After this film, I want to see more of him. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to, but it was really, really cool to see him on screen, and they used him so well. Michael Keaton's Batman is introduced at the perfect moment. It's the point where the film starts to slow down a bit. You feel that two Barrys need a bit of a push, and there he is, and he has plenty to do in this film. This is not a cameo for the sake of a cameo. He is there to kick ass, to take names, and to be Batman. He comes in a moment in the film where you can see these characters need a bit of guidance, they need to be pulled forward, the plot needs to kind of pick up a little bit, and they introduce him at a moment where he has lots to do. He plays sort of a fulcrum point in this film. He helps to explain to Barry, you know, the situation that he's in, maybe how he got there. And, you know, we see it very early on in the film and earlier on even in the trailers where Ben Affleck's Batman is the one who's kind of guiding Barry Allen. Michael Keaton plays that same role. He plays that guiding fatherly role, and he's somebody else who's struggled with grief and the fact that scars have been what's shaped him. He is shaped by his experiences, and he also tries to tell Barry that, you know, you need to embrace that about yourself. That's what he's embraced about himself, and he pulls the story along in a really, really interesting way. What I loved about this version of Batman is, yes, there are the old quips that they do kind of go to, you know, straight out of the nostalgia bag to bait the audience, which are a lot of fun. I enjoy them. Some of them are on the nose, but, you know, about going nuts and I'm Batman, though they did feel a little bit shoehorned in, but still really great to see Michael Keaton saying those lines on the big screen again. But this Batman had something very different about the way that he went about his combat. I think that is where they differentiated the Batfleck and Michael Keaton Batman very well, because obviously they have very similar story arcs, very similar character beats that they have to hit, but the combat felt unique, and I think that alone was probably enough to bring Michael Keaton back. When they showed him what his Batman was going to be able to do, I think that was enough to him to say, where do I sign? I'm coming back as Batman. I want to say those couple of lines and do the things. And he has plenty to do. There is a time in Batman v Superman where Batman just feels like he's dodging, you know, he feels kind of useless, he's a bit of a third wheel. That doesn't happen in this film. There's always something for him to do where he feels effective. It feels like when he's engaged in a battle, whatever the situation is, he's dangerous, he's threatening, and he's going to pose a threat to whatever enemy he comes across. Which, you know, Batman vs. Doomsday and Batman v Superman, we all know how that would have ended. So they do a good job of avoiding that. And Kara is great. I know very little about Supergirl, and she was not what I was expecting at all. I was expecting, you know, the blonde Supergirl that we've seen in the comics. That's kind of all I really know about her. And seeing her in this format was really, really cool. She felt different. She felt edgy. I wanted to know more about her. A final note I just want to share with you guys is that I think Andy Muschietti did a phenomenal job as the director of this film. In a lot of superhero films, the director kind of feels like they're just someone who's been hired to just hit a checklist and just get everything off that checklist done. And I felt that in this film, there was plenty of Andy Muschietti's style. I really enjoyed his movies. I loved his 2 iterations of It. And you can see there are Andy Muschietti horror elements played throughout this film. You can see that he knows where the limit is and where he can push the envelope of horror elements to. And generally those horror elements are kind of resolved with a bit of comedic timing at the end or a fun hero moment. But they're there, and it feels fresh and it feels different, and he gives us a really great new look at the Speed Force. The Speed Force is obviously something that Barry is going to be using to travel back in time. That's really well explained. A bit of dodgy CGI around the Speed Force, but because it's going through time, I forgave it, and I think you guys will forgive it as well. He takes us on a very different journey with the Flash. I feel like in Zack Snyder's versions, we were constantly left with, as soon as Barry enters the Speed Force, it's a case of everything's in slow motion. You don't get a feel for the pace, the difficulty of how to use it. And in this movie, you feel the speed. Amidst this world-ending General Zod fighting, stuck in the past, you know, spectacle that the film throws you into, there's an intensely personal story shoved in there, and if you can focus on that throughout this film, you're going to have a great time. You're really going to feel something by the end of this. And I think that Andy Muschietti has done a phenomenal job of taking a superhero movie and actually giving us some juicy themes to work with that you could break down and really think about. Some of these moments, even some of the incredible cameos that are in there. Yes, there are cameos, and I don't want to spoil them because I was in the movie house going, oh my god, that's so freaking cool. I can't believe that person's on the screen right now. They happen. But at the same time, they don't lessen the movie. The movie isn't reliant on them. You could take loads of the cameos and the little Easter eggs out of this film, and this movie still stands up on its own because it has relatable themes. It has important themes. It has something you can take away and think about after you watch this movie instead of just a mindless slugfest. That's not what happens in this movie at all. And I think that's the reason people are going to enjoy it. It is an exciting, fast-paced action ride through the DC universe for possibly one last time. We know that Aquaman 2 is coming out, but who knows what's going to happen with that. At the end of the day, this film is a beautiful love letter to all of Zack Snyder's work, and if this is all we get, and this is goodbye to the DCU, I'm happy with it. Anyways, guys, once this movie comes out, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you want to join me at the Joburg or Cape Town premieres in South Africa, comment down below. Let me know which premiere you want to go to, and I will try to hook you up with some tickets to those events. I also have some tickets from Empire Entertainment to give away for the theatrical release, so if you just want to go and check out The Flash when it hits cinemas, let me know in the comments down below what you're most excited for. See you guys at the movies. You feel the need for speed. I'm probably going to cut that. Yeah, I'll leave it in. I don't know.